The moment he stepped through the glass doors, the entire restaurant shifted. Not visibly. Not loudly. But in the subtle way people straighten in their seats when someone important enters. The air grows alert. Conversations lose their rhythm. Even the chandeliers seem to glow a little brighter, as if trying to impress the man who just walked in. Adam Hale didn't come to be admired, but admiration followed him anyway. He wasn't the kind of CEO who flaunted his status. His suit was simple, well-tailored but understated. His expression was exhausted, not powerful. And the way he walked, slow, controlled, almost heavy, spoke more of a man carrying burdens than a man carrying an empire. But still, people felt something. A presence. A gravity. Yet none of them felt what Lily felt. She stood near the counter, clutching her small notepad, pretending to wipe a tray but really watching him as he walked to his table in the corner. Something inside her twisted, something she couldn't name. It wasn't attraction, though he was the kind of man anyone would notice. It wasn't curiosity, though she immediately sensed there was a story behind his tired eyes. It was fear. A fear she didn't understand at first, just a whisper in her bones, a sudden coldness in her stomach, the quiet scream of instinct that something was very, very wrong. She tried to ignore it. Tried to breathe. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe you're overthinking, she told herself, wiping her palms on her apron. But when she went to the kitchen to pick up orders, she heard it. Voices that were too sharp. A tone too serious. Words that weren't meant for her ears. When he drinks it, it'll be over fast. Clean. No mess. Her blood froze. Another voice, calm, confident, answered, good. Boss wants it tonight. No mistakes. She peeked through the crack between the kitchen door and saw two men leaning over the prep counter, whispering like conspirators. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She knew danger. She had lived with it. Grown up with it. When you grow up in a house where shouting was the alarm clock and bruises came as often as meals, you learn to sense threats before they arrive. Her body was screaming now. She didn't know who the he was, until she saw a waiter preparing a glass of whiskey. A glass with a faint white tint at the bottom before ice was dropped in. And then she understood. Her breath vanished. Her hands shook. Her legs nearly gave out beneath her. She looked out the kitchen window at the corner booth. At him. Adam. Alone. Unprotected. Unaware. She didn't know him. He didn't know her. He would never remember her face after tonight. But she remembered his eyes, quiet, tired, almost lonely. And something about that loneliness broke her. No one deserves to die like that, she thought. Not when someone could stop it. Not when she could stop it. So she did something she never imagined she would do. She walked toward his table with the drink she knew could kill him. Every step felt like walking through fire. Every breath felt like betrayal of herself, of fear, of the safe choice she had always taken in life. She had never been brave. Not once. She had always hidden, always stayed silent, always avoided danger. But today, danger found her anyway. She placed the drink in front of him, praying he wouldn't take a sip right away. Her voice was thin, barely present, when she said, "Your drink, sir." And then, quickly but discreetly, she slipped a folded napkin beside the glass. Her fingers brushed the table with a tremble she couldn't control. Her throat was tight. Her heartbeat was louder than the clinking glasses, the jazz music, the chatter around them. She forced herself to walk away calmly, though her legs felt like melting wax. Adam noticed the napkin the moment she stepped back. He frowned slightly, picking it up with a curious raise of his eyebrow. He unfolded it. Her writing was messy, rushed, almost desperate. Don't drink it. Leave now. For a long moment, the world seemed to freeze. Adam didn't react, not visibly. But Lily saw the change in him, the slight tightening of his jaw, the new intensity in his eyes. He lifted his head, looking around the restaurant slowly, as if piecing together a puzzle he hadn't even known existed. Then his gaze landed on her. And Lily felt naked. He stood up, walked toward the counter with long, confident strides, and stopped inches from her, so close she could smell the faint scent of cedar on his cologne. His voice was calm, too calm. "What is this?" he asked, lifting the napkin. She swallowed. Her mouth was so dry she could barely speak. Her hands curled into fists at her sides. I can't explain here," she whispered. "Please. Just trust me." His eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in calculation. He was a man used to reading people, evaluating risks, finding truth in silence. And what he saw in her wasn't deceit. It was terror. Real, bone-shaking terror. Without a word, he reached out and gently took her wrist. His touch was warm, grounding, steady in a way that made her want to break down and cry. "Lily," he murmured, reading her name from her tiny name tag, "tell me what's going on." Hearing her name and his voice nearly shattered her. She glanced toward the back table where the two men were sitting. One of them was watching her now. The other was tapping his fingers impatiently. She whispered, leaning in closer. "They put something in your drink. I heard them talking. They said." She choked on the words. Adam's grip tightened protectively, urging her gently. "What did they say?" "They said you wouldn't walk out alive tonight," she finally breathed. His body went still. For a second, neither of them moved. The restaurant hummed around them, oblivious to the danger hiding in plain sight. Her voice trembled. "I shouldn't be telling you this. If they see me." She didn't finish. Because at that exact moment, the two men stood up. Slowly. Deliberately. Predatory. Adam followed her gaze, and their eyes met the way lightning meets storm clouds. Lily felt her heart sink. "They know," she whispered. "Oh God, they know." Adam didn't panic. He didn't freeze. He didn't look away. He simply took her hand fully into his and said in a low, firm voice, "Stay with me. We're leaving. Now." Her breath hitched, her fear melting into a strange, desperate trust. For the first time in years, someone was protecting her. But she had no idea that the man whose life she saved was about to change hers forever. Rain hit the pavement like 1,000 tiny warnings, each drop sharper than the last. The moment they burst through the back door of the restaurant, the cold night swallowed them whole. Lily clutched Adam's hand so tightly her knuckles whitened, but she didn't dare loosen her grip, not when danger breathed so close behind them. The alley was narrow, dim, and scattered with puddles that reflected the flickering neon sign from the restaurant's back wall. The sound of the kitchen door slamming open behind them echoed like a gunshot. "Don't look back," Adam said, his voice low, steady, and impossibly calm considering the storm unfolding around them. But Lily looked back anyway. The two men were already in the alley. Their shadows stretched across the wet ground in long, distorted shapes, and Lily's breath caught in her chest. One of the men whispered something into his earpiece. "They're calling someone," she said, panic flaring in her voice. Adam tightened his grip around her hand, pulling her deeper into the alley. "I know," he replied. "That's why we keep moving." Every step felt like walking on broken glass. Fear burned through her veins, but so did something else, something new. A strange, overwhelming urge to stay close to him. To trust him. To believe that if anyone could lead her out of this nightmare, it was him. They reached the street at the end of the alley just as a black SUV screeched to a halt. Its tires splashed water across the sidewalk, and the headlights washed the alley in blinding white. Lily stumbled back. "That's them," she breathed. "Adam, that's the same car I saw earlier." He didn't let her finish. He grabbed her shoulders and pulled her flush against him, shielding her with his body as if she were made of fragile glass. Her heart hammered, not just from fear, but from the warm, unshakable certainty that he would not let her fall. "Stay behind me," he murmured. She didn't know why his voice calmed her in the middle of a nightmare, but it did. For one split second, she felt safe just because he was there. The SUV doors opened. Two more men stepped out. Lily felt her stomach twist. "We're trapped." "No," Adam said. "There's another way." He grabbed her hand again and pulled her toward the far side of the alley, where a narrow gap separated two buildings. It was barely wide enough for a person to squeeze through. He turned to her. "You first." Lily nodded, swallowing her fear, and slipped into the gap. Jagged bricks scraped her arms as she squeezed through, but she didn't stop. She could hear the men shouting, their footsteps splashing in the puddles behind them. "Go, Lily!" Adam hissed. She pushed through the narrow passage and stumbled into a hidden courtyard behind the buildings. As soon as she cleared the space, Adam squeezed through after her, just seconds before one of the men reached the gap. A hand grabbed Adam's shirt through the bricks, but he tore away, ripping the fabric as he sprinted toward her. Lily's voice cracked. "Adam!" He caught her hand again and didn't let go. They ran. Through the courtyard. Through another alley. Across a small street where a lone street lamp buzzed above them. The city felt unfamiliar, distorted by adrenaline and fear. The world had narrowed into two things. Run. Survive. Stay together. When they finally stopped, they were both breathless. Lily leaned against a wall, her chest rising and falling in sharp bursts. Rain clung to her hair, her eyelashes, her trembling lips. Adam stood close, too close, breathing just as hard. "You okay?" he asked, gently brushing a lock of wet hair away from her eyes. The touch startled her, warmed her, melted her. I think so," she whispered. "But they're still out there." "They won't get near you," he said. "Not while I'm alive." His words hit her heart like a wave. Why would he say that? Why would he risk himself for her, the waitress he met less than an hour ago? She had saved his life. But somehow, he was now saving hers with the same intensity, the same conviction, as if she mattered, truly mattered. The sound of distant footsteps made them both snap to attention. "We have to keep moving," Adam said. "We need a safe extraction point." "Extraction," she echoed. "Adam, who exactly are you?" He hesitated, emotions flickering across his face. "A CEO," he said softly, "but that's just the surface. My company, it holds things people would kill for. Tonight is proof." Lily exhaled shakily. "They were going to poison you over a business deal?" "It's much bigger than that," he said. "But you don't need to be part of it." Her eyes widened. "If I hadn't warned you, they wouldn't be after me now." His expression darkened, guilt tightening his jaw. "That's exactly why I won't leave you behind." As if punctuating his words, he stepped closer, his hand finding hers again. He held it differently now, not just protectively, but tenderly, like he was afraid of losing her. A sleek armored car turned onto the road at the far end of the block, its engine humming low. Adam exhaled in relief. "That's my team." The car slowed to a stop beside them. The door opened, and a man in tactical gear stepped out. "Sir, we need to leave. Now." Adam nodded, then looked at Lily. "You first," he said gently, guiding her into the car. She hesitated only for a second before climbing in. The interior was warm, safe, almost surreal compared to the storm outside. Adam slid in beside her, closing the door firmly behind them. Rain streaked across the tinted windows as the car pulled away from the curb. Lily sank into the seat, trembling from the adrenaline crash. She felt Adam watching her, concern etched deep in his features. "You saved my life tonight," he said softly. Her eyes lifted to his, and for the first time she saw the vulnerability behind the CEO persona. He wasn't untouchable. He wasn't invincible. He was human, frightened, grateful, shaken. "So did you," she whispered. Their hands touched again, accidental, but neither of them pulled away. And in that quiet moment, the world outside continued to rage, but the storm inside the car softened into something almost fragile. Something almost impossible. A connection formed not out of comfort, or chance, or desire, but out of survival. Out of fear. Out of the truth that sometimes, the people who enter your life in the strangest, most terrifying moments become the ones you can't imagine losing. Adam exhaled slowly, eyes still locked on hers. "You changed everything tonight," he said. "And I don't let go of people who save me." She felt her heart tremble in her chest. Adam, what happens now? He reached for her hand, wrapping it securely in his. Now, he said softly, I protect you. Just like you protected me. The car drove deeper into the night, carrying two strangers bound by danger. And something far more powerful than either of them understood yet.